Thank you to all those that read. Your service is greatly appreciated. Who's ready for a speaker meeting? All right, the speaker this morning has asked Joe to introduce her. Let's go, Joe! Hey everybody, I'm Joe. I'm an addict. We had to switch some things up for the convention and switch our speakers around a little bit. We moved Tony to Friday, and we're looking for somebody to kind of be the spiritual speaker on Sunday. And the first thing that popped in my head was Anita, and the reason I say that is that ever since I've been in recovery, I've watched Anita, and she walks the talk, and I see how she treats others. She's loving, caring, and except for with David, I guess, but she's the type of person that I want what she wants. She has, I want that serenity and that peace, and I know that she'll do a great job today. So I give you Anita. Oh.
Hello, family. My name's Anita, and I'm an addict. And if you don't mind, let me just take a moment, just invite my God, and he's already in the room. Just let me invite him into my mouth. Okay. Again, my name's Anita, and I'm an addict. And I'm thinking all week, like someone else said, about all these great things I wanted to share when I got up here. All these cool things, all these things I wanted to say, and I can't remember one of them right now. That's okay. And I was thinking had a lot of people saying, are you going to talk about Jesus? Are you going to cuss? Are you going to? And I'm going to tell you this morning, I'm not going to cuss, because that is not who I am. I may try to impress people by saying, F you, I won't do what you tell me, because the last time I spoke at my home group, that's what I did. I took a lyric from a song, Rage Against the Machine, because I wanted to get all built up in my head so that I could bring that message with all those cuss words. Not necessary at all. And I don't feel the need to impress anybody today. Tomorrow might be a different story. Today is I want to say Happy Father's Day. So all you fathers out there, I was thinking about the last convention we were asked to do a workshop at was in 2019. And I had to call Shay right before it and say, I can't come. They're putting my dad in hospice, and I need to be there with my dad. Because at that time, I had worked steps. I had built that relationship back with my family, and I was asked to be by his side. It was an honor to pray with my stepmother, who I resented for many, many years. It was an honor to pray with my dad, to play him music on the phone that I knew he loved. Chicago was his favorite band. And so I was thinking about him this morning, and how, and my father-in-law, and how normally on Father's Day would be all about taking our dads to lunch, spending time with the family. And it's been different having Father's Day without our fathers. It's definitely different. The good thing is, I believe truly that they are both up there looking down on us and how we're honoring the lives that they gave us and how they brought us up by staying clean today. So I've gotten that part out of the way. I was born in a small town in West Virginia and moved to Atlanta when I was in high school. It was a huge culture shock, to say the least. Everyone had everyone looked shiny and sparkly and pretty, and I did not feel shiny, sparkly, and pretty. I had always felt less than. I always felt like I didn't belong. I always wished I had different parents. They divorced when I was young. My mother left, so when I was a teenager and coming into my womanhood, I had no mother to show me what to do and how to be. That was tough. It was really hard, and my dad did the best that he could, and he met this woman and got married, and I hated her with a passion. But today, I love her, and I know God put her in my life to be the mother that I needed at the time, because my mother didn't know how to be a mother at the time. I got pregnant at 19, had a daughter, and I gave her up for adoption because my family was not this, oh, we'll take her and raise her and you can be in her life. That was not going to happen. My parents were very strict and very firm about that. They weren't going to handle my business because I was grown. I was out of the house, and if those were the choices I was going to make, I had to live with the consequences. It was a very hard decision for me to make, but it was the best one for my daughter, who I have not met in person but have connected with. We're on Facebook together. She's a bartender in Boston. She's probably really, really good at her job because she comes by it honestly. I don't want to stay in my using days, but I do need to qualify just a little bit. I didn't get arrested every time I used, but every time I got arrested, it was a direct result of finding ways and means to get more. Stealing, lying, cheating, all the stuff we know how to do. All those things that made me feel shameful, less than, like I didn't deserve to live. All those places I put myself. I hear stories today. I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, which probably maybe not so healthy for me to do, but I hear about all of these people and all these missing women, and it's all centered in drugs. There's always some drug factor there, and I'm like, thank you, God, that was not me. I should be dead. I put myself in so many places. Here's this little white girl hanging down at the trap, down in the bluff, running, doing all the things. At the end of my using, I was staying in a house down there with no water, no power, no electricity. We had candles, people falling out beside me would slap them and put ice water on their face. That's where I had gotten. I was not raised that way. I was raised in a good Christian home. Yes, my parents divorced, but people are people. I was not raised to live that way, but that's where I got. That's where my disease took me. And at that point, I didn't even feel like I didn't deserve to live. Circling back to being raised in a Christian home, having sex before marriage was like a cardinal sin, and then I got pregnant on top of it. Not only that, but 3 years and 1 day later, I got pregnant again. Well, I had a son. I gave him up for adoption too, because by that point, I was in no position to be raising any children. I don't even know who his father is. When I met him face to face, he asked me, who was my dad? I said, honey, I really do not know. And the only reason I was able to be honest with him was because I worked the steps and I learned to apply the principles in my program, and because I looked at me and looked at all of that crap that was back there, that's why I was able to be honest with my son. Only because of the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, my sponsor and the people that I surrounded myself with, that encouraged me to be honest and true with him. Still working on having a relationship with him and my daughter. I want it so badly I can taste it, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how. How do I walk into your life and say, hey, I gave you up 30 years ago, but I want to be your mama. I want to be in your life. I'm patient. My whole recovery has taught me to be patient, because in God's time is when those things happen. I'm very nervous up here right now. I was thinking about one of the funny things that just popped back in my head. One of the funny things is I feel like I'm nervous like a hoe in church. But I've been there and done that. I've been a hoe in church. So this doesn't feel quite as bad, because y'all are my family and y'all know me. Y'all been there. Y'all know all about it. Also, something else. I got to get this out of the way. My clean date is 6/26/2002. So, thank you. The only reason why I'm saying that, not to brag, but because every convention I get to stand up for like one less year than I want to stand up for. I want to stand up for 20. So next Sunday, I'll have 20 years. Oh, God. And I get to celebrate with a sponsee who's picking up 13 years. So that's what this is about. So back to the spirituality part. I do want to talk about that. Okay, so when I got clean, I went through treatment. There was no drug court at the time in Cherokee County or Upson County or Spalding County, which is where my charges all were. So I got sentenced to treatment, long-term residential treatment in Gainesville. And I was like, where the hell is Gainesville? Never heard of it. So I came to treatment at North House. And North House and a woman named Marilyn Davis, who passed away last week suddenly. She was my first higher power. She was the first woman that told me, you can get and stay clean if you do X, Y, Z. You do the footwork. You do the work. You will find yourself and you can get and stay clean. We weren't allowed to go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings because there were boys there, and someone had gotten pregnant and ruined it for all of us. So we went to the other fellowship to begin with, and I am very grateful that I did, because that's where I got my first sponsor, my first taste of the steps. My second taste of the steps came in Narcotics Anonymous. I came, of course, there was a boy, always about a boy. We broke up, we had sex, and it was weird and uncomfortable, and it didn't feel right, it was so awkward. And I was like, I can't go back to a meeting where he's going to be. I can't look him in the face. It's so uncomfortable. So my roommate at the time said, let's go to an NA meeting. I said, okay. So she took me to an NA meeting. And who's an addict? When they read that, it resonated with me. That's me. Why are we here? Before coming to the Fellowship of NA, we could not manage our own lives. That was me. I couldn't manage. I couldn't manage to keep a job, much less. And the only way I managed to stay high was stealing, conning, and all that. So I get out of treatment and I stayed in Gainesville because that's where my recovery was. That's where my network was. I stayed there. My family was still in Marietta, but I didn't have anything back there. I didn't have any reason to go back there. I stayed in Gainesville. Found myself in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, started working steps, did service work, GSR for a home group, and our group conscience usually lasts 4 to 6 hours, and we would argue about the most ridiculous things. And I got involved in H&I, and I started carrying meetings in. I'll never forget my goal was to go into the jail because that was my experience. In and out of jails. I'm a multi-felon. I have a book for a record. So I wanted to go into jail. I didn't really care so much about the detox centers because I didn't think I had a message for the people in detox because I was different from the people in detox. No, I'm not. I am exactly the same. We don't care what got you here. All we want to know is how can we help? What's your problem and how can we help? So I wanted to get into the jail. So I go into the jail with a friend of mine that also does H&I. She's like, you don't have to share, you just listen. I said, okay, I'll listen. 2 people shared and she starts hitting my leg. You gotta share, you gotta share, you gotta share. Shaking, I was shaking. But somehow in that moment, my God reached into my soul, and whatever came, I can't even remember what came out, but obviously it made an impact because everybody came up and was like, wow, that was great. I had to let my God take over but I remember when I was looking at their orange shoes, their jumpsuits, and the smell, I will never forget that smell, that institutional smell. And I felt what they were feeling. And I do remember telling them they never had to feel that way again. If they did something different when they got out. Don't go to the trap when you get out. Find a meeting. Come to a meeting. I don't care if they tell you to report on Monday and it's Friday afternoon. You find some place to get safe and stay safe until Monday when you got to report. So I got married, and our wedding was right here. We said our vows right in front of that fireplace. And 75% of the people here were in recovery. Our wedding party was mostly people in recovery. Some of them still around, some not. Good memories here. Then we started going to church because we wanted to have a baby. And I said, I'm not having a baby and not bringing it to church. I'm trying to find myself again. I believe that my God brought me to the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, and the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous brought me back to my God. Like I said, I was raised in a Christian home. I was raised reading, going to Sunday school, going to vacation Bible school, singing in the little kids choir. My mother, my grandmother, they all played organ and piano in churches. I was raised in church. The problem was that God I believed in then was not the God that I thought would love me and forgive me and care for me and be all I needed him to be. I didn't have a relationship with that God. We started searching for a church, and I'll tell you, my friend invited me to come to this church on McKever Road in Oakwood. And I was like, okay, I'll go, because the pastor was welcoming to addicts. I said, okay, fine, I'll come. So I did. And I talked my husband into coming, and we joined. And for 12 years, we were members, and we were active in our church because Narcotics Anonymous taught us to give back to where we get what we're getting. We learned service in Narcotics Anonymous, and so we transferred that to our church. This junkie here that used to stick needles in her arms was the delegate for the annual conference for the United Methodist Church in Georgia. I got to vote for stuff from my church. I got to represent my church. These people didn't know. They thought, oh, well, they might have had a drinking problem. They had no clue. We got so involved and so immersed, that became our family. And I'll tell you, we never stopped going to meetings. We stayed involved in recovery. But they became our family. And it just made me think about it, because we had, the church had annual conference last week, and my girlfriend I used to go with sent me a couple of the homeless pens that we used to always buy from this lady, and the money would go to help homeless people. Well, of course, I'm down with that. I was homeless once. Not anymore. I'm home now, right here. Here's the thing. People are people wherever we go. We are all just human beings trying to put one foot in front of the other, trying not to hurt ourselves, trying not to hurt anyone else, trying not to do harm, not perfect at it, don't claim to be, don't want to be. I know I will never be perfect until I have left this earth. And I'm good with that, What happened was, we got so close to the people in our church, they started having small groups. And our small group, they wanted to meet at this brewery. Oh, I'm not going to a brewery. I can't be around that. Well, they have non-alcoholic drinks. I know, but I can't. Twice a month, I can't go hang out at a brewery. So my husband made a very, very difficult decision and walked away from our home church because we didn't feel like the direction they were headed was not the direction we were headed. We did not quite believe. I'll tell you, the pastor would go and have these Bible studies in the brewery to reach people. And that's okay. That's okay. There's this song I love called Jesus Rides the Subway. And I'm not going to talk about, this is Narcotics Anonymous. I'll talk to you about my higher power after the meeting, if you want to know nitty-gritty. But the song refers to how God rides the subway with the junkies and the thieves. My God was in the trap with me when I wouldn't be standing here today if he hadn't been. I would not be. I'd have been folded up in a suitcase found on 285. What's making me think so much about my church and my experience there, number one, it's Sundays, spiritual, it's supposed to be spiritual. This kid last night, this kid that used to go on mission trips with us, we used to go to Kentucky for a week every summer. We'd use a vacation and go to Kentucky and help people work on their houses. And every time we went, I met someone who was in addiction and needed to be heard. Every single time. God would put me in someone, I'd sit on the porch and I would listen to them tell me about their child. One lady's grandchild was missing. And she thought that the cartel had her, and she was not kidding. Dope was alive and well all over Africa, Kentucky. The sad thing is when we would go there, we would see these conditions, and we would think, how can they live like this? And then I'd remember, well, I live like that too. Anyway, this kid that went on one of the trips with us was here last night. I didn't even remember his name until I saw his card. But I hugged that boy and I told him, I said, you open your ears and you listen for what you need to hear this weekend, because recovery is alive. Recovery is here if you want it. You just got to put forth this much effort for this much reward. This much effort. Marilyn Davis, who used to say, when the fear of change is the fear of staying the same is greater than your fear of change, then you will change. Simple. Right? No, it's not simple. We don't like, I don't like change. I want to do something different. But in the beginning, I did whatever I was told because I didn't want to go back to the trial. I didn't want to go live in a bluff anymore. I didn't want to lose everything I had. I did not want to, I didn't want to die. I wanted a relationship with my family again. I wanted a chance to meet my daughter and know she's okay. I wanted a chance to meet my son and know he's okay. My daughter grew up in Florida. My son grew up in Cumming, right down the road from me. I prayed and I prayed, and I pray for them every day that they are safe and that God protects their steps, and that they don't turn out like me. That's another difficult conversation I have to have with both of them, is that you've got this disease of addiction that's in your blood, so you need to watch yourself. My daughter especially, she is just like me when I was break up, get back together, break up, get back together. This guy she's with, I can't do anything about it though. I'm not even her mother, you know. The cool thing about recovery is now, okay, so let me back up a little bit, back to the church thing. We left our church, which was a very difficult decision to make. And as I said, the pastor was having these Bible studies or whatever at the brewery. And I kind of got where he was headed with it, was that, you know, I want them to see that a pastor can be cool and, you know, there's no judgment, there's no, but here's the thing. We had made a decision to sell the building and buy a new property to build a new church. In the middle of that, I said, well, are you going to tell the Oakwood NA group that meets there that you're selling the building and that they need to find a new place to meet? The pastor said, and you can tell I'm still a little resentful. I need to work on that. I am. It pissed me off. He said, when we sell the building, that's not my problem. Whoa, wait a minute. You need to tell me you could care less about the fellowship, the program, the people that saved my husband and I? You don't care where they go, I don't even know that they meet anymore. Do they?
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that was like the straw right there. We said, see you, bye. We're out of here. And then 2020, right before COVID hit, my mother, who we were working on building our relationship again, because even though she left, the reason she left is because she was looking for herself. She did not grow up in a household where her mother was loving and kind and caring to her. Her mother was abusive verbally and physically to my mother. My mother is gay. She came out to me when I was 20. And my dad said, well, that explains a lot. But the cool thing about that is, when Mother retired and wanted to move to Atlanta, where her children are, we said, come stay in Gainesville. So she came to Gainesville, got her a little apartment in this place where the first time I visited, I went to the restroom and I could smell pot next door. And I was like, Mama, you can't live here. You cannot live here. This is not a good apartment complex. Then COVID hit. And I said, Mama, pack your bag, come stay with us. You know, I thought, a couple weeks she can stay with us. It'll be fine. She started cooking for us every night. I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. This is great. Then, I wouldn't let her do my laundry. No, you're not doing my laundry. You shrink everything I got. And then, David and I had been looking for a place, because when all of his parents died and my father passed, we had a little bit of inheritance, and we thought, well, let's find us a cabin in Blairsville, or Suches. Couldn't find anything, just couldn't, we were looking, I mean, obsessively looking, because we were trying to find something to make us feel better, honestly, because we were in so much pain. And we had just come off of a year of him going back and forth to Blairsville to visit with his dad, who was in a nursing home and was in his 80s, and then his sister Barbara, who wasn't taking care of herself physically and was dying. She was in Marietta, and then my father got terminal cancer. So I was just on the road constantly between Blairsville, Marietta, and Gainesville. And so we wanted to just escape. We didn't find anything. Couldn't find anything. Then talked to my realtor friend, and she said, well, what about coming out here? And I was like, okay. So we wanted land. We changed our perspective, and what we started looking for was a place where my mother could live with us. My mother that left me when I was 12. My mother that would send money and presents and say, I love you, but would ignore me and ghost me for months on end. My mother that I didn't have a good relationship with for many, many, many years is living in our home. I mean, you can't, and she still cooks for us. God works in mysterious ways. And I want you to know, whatever God you believe in, that's the beauty of Narcotics Anonymous. I get to have my God. I get to have a relationship with the God of my understanding. And I do not understand my God, which is kind of funny because I don't know how we're supposed to. But you get to have your God, whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like. And like I said before, I'll share with anyone my spirit, my belief. I believe my God is love. All love. And I appreciated the speaker last night sharing about being kind to others. To me, that's what life is about. We are supposed to be a village. Luckily, for us in Narcotics Anonymous, we learned how to do this. We learned how to be there for each other. We learned how to hold each other up, how to lift each other up. We women especially, I remember, she's going to take my man. She's going to take my dope. She's going to take my outfit. My outfit looks better on her than it did on me. What's up with that? That's how I felt toward women back in the day. I did not love women. I was scared of you, mainly. Everything boiled down to fear. Fear of losing what I had, fear of not getting what I wanted. But somehow, some way, through working the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, working the traditions, being of service, learning to apply the concepts, has helped me become more loving and more open. I sponsor women. Some of them are working real hard, and some of them not so much, and that's okay. Some of them I don't know where they are. That's okay. I can't do anything about it. I can work my program, which is going to look a lot different from yours, and that's okay. That's okay. I have made a decision. I am going to go through the full 12 steps again. Yep. I say that because I did the full 12 steps in the other fellowship, who was our predecessors, by the way, and we need to respect and honor. And I've worked them in Narcotics Anonymous in the flat book. And then I've done situational worksheets when things would come up. But now I think it's time to do a full 1 through 12 all over again. I need to, because there's some stuff that has come up. My mother, thankfully, is a member of Al-Anon, because my brother is probably an alcoholic and an addict too. We're not supposed to say that he and I were in treatment at the same time in 2002. It took for me. He's been in and out of prison ever since. Can't stay clean, can't stay, but mother just doesn't. So thank God she's found Al-Anon. Her sponsor lives in Florida, and she's working steps. Her meeting's in St. Louis, Missouri on Zoom every day at 1 o'clock. So I take my lunch when I'm home so I don't interfere with her meeting. Life is so different for me today than it was back then. I was telling someone earlier, I take H&I meetings into places, and some of them look at me and I know what they're thinking. Some people in my home group might even think this. What do you know about getting high? What do you know about it? What, you went to a club and drank too much? We have that tendency to think we know somebody by their outside. Let me tell you, my outside does not reflect my inside. On any given day, the outside might look frazzled and all, discombobulated. The inside might be pretty cool. Today, the outside probably looks just fine, but the inside's all... When Joe called me and asked me about this, I said, I got to call my sponsor, man. I can't. I was taught MMA, never to say no, but I was also taught, let me check my calendar and get back with you. And I was taught, let me talk to my sponsor. So I called my sponsor, and she reminded me, and I'm talking about this because since we moved to Commerce, we've not found a home church, and I don't know that we're going to, and that's okay. Today, that's okay. For a while, it bothered me. I felt guilty. I felt shameful. I felt like I was not where I was supposed to be, like we're not doing something. But as my sponsor reminded me, my spirituality is in here, and I carry it with me wherever I'm at. I could be at the gas station, the grocery store, Unicorn Lodge. I could be at an NA meeting. I could be at a funeral, a memorial. Remembering the life of a woman who taught me how to bathe, reminded me how to cook, taught me how to make my bed and keep my room clean, taught me about dental health, sent me to Good News Clinic to get my teeth cleaned. I'm forever grateful to Marilyn Davis for everything she taught me. In the beginning, I was so willing to do whatever she told me to do because I didn't want to go back to that life. We were in group one night, and she said, I want you to look around the room. There were 17 of us girls in this house. She said, I want you to look around the room. One of you is going to make it. And I said, my God, that's going to be me. And she was right. Only one of us made it. My friend Lindsay was with me there. She relapsed, but she came back. She and I have been texting all week. Do you remember this? And do you remember that? Do you remember, what was that girl's name? And we're trying to and I said, we've got to go get coffee because we don't know what tomorrow holds. We do not. And that's why we jumped on our house in Commerce. When we moved to Commerce, we got a home group. And we'd love to thank God. We knew people in our home group. We said we know exactly where we're going to go, and that's where we have been. We may not come 3 nights a week, but we got a big-ass garden that's almost as big as this room, and it's a lot to manage in the summertime, so we stay busy. But that's the other thing. My spirituality is found when I'm sitting on my front porch, watching that fog kind of roll over the front field, drinking my coffee, listening to the birds, watching the dog chase frogs or whatever she's chasing. My spirituality is found in the sunrise, in the sunset. It's found in putting a seed in the dirt, adding a little fertilizer, a little Cabernet, little water, little sunshine, and saying a prayer asking God to bless this little seed and let it turn into a fruit or vegetable that we can put in our bodies and let us be of service. That's my spirituality today. It ain't about a church, it ain't about a building. And right now I'm so disappointed with United Methodist Church because they are splitting over the LGBTQ situation. God loves us all the same, and he does not make mistakes. You know, when I would go to annual conference, I'd always wear the striped stole to represent, because my mother is a lesbian, and she has lived that judgmental, you know, all of the... We need to quit hurting each other. We need to love each other. We need to love as God loves us. And like the speaker shared last night, I have been given so much grace and mercy, I can't afford not to give it to you. I mean, at times, he'd have to deal with me just like well, I kind of want him to deal with my brother, but... I know, right? He was my very first resentment, and he's probably my biggest resentment today. You know I gotta say that. My hope and desire for him is that he finds what I have found here. And eventually, one day, he'll find his way, whatever it is. Because just as God is my God doesn't have grandchildren. We are all equally his children. So just as my mother prayed for me, she's praying for him. And just as it brought me here, it'll bring him here one day. And I hope that I have compassion and love for him like I did for Will last night. So I'll end with this. In the beginning, I talked about saying, F you, I won't do what you tell me. And this is what I wish I had shared at my home group. Today, I say, I trust you. And I'll do what you tell me. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Anita. $30 Rich. Hey, if y'all want to pre-register, registration is going to be open for another 30 minutes. But I just want to share this because Anita was